I was standing in line at the pharmacy, juggling my wallet, insurance card, and a $140 prescription, when my phone buzzed, one new message from Mom Marjorie Dawson. "Don't come to the wedding. You and your kids just make things awkward. No greeting, no explanation. Just that sentence cold, final, and lit up against the bright screen like a verdict. For a few seconds, the noise around me blurred. The man at the counter was arguing over coupons. A toddler was crying behind me. But all I could hear was that message echoing in my head. Then another notification popped up. Vanessa Dawson, my younger sister, and the bride-to-be, reacted to Mom's text with a laughing emoji. The tiny yellow face grinned back at me, mocking. I stared at it for a moment. I'd spent the last 6 months helping Vanessa plan this dream wedding booking venues, paying deposits, fixing mistakes. Every invoice had my name on it. Every payment had come from my card. My fingers trembled, but I typed slowly, carefully. "Then you won't need my card for the venue." I hit send and slipped the phone into my bag. Behind me, someone coughed impatiently. I stepped forward in line, heart pounding, pretending I didn't care, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. When I finally reached the counter, the pharmacist smiled politely. "Rough day?" she asked. I almost laughed. If only you knew. Outside, the air smelled like rain. I sat in my car, watching droplets gather on the windshield. My reflection looked strange, tired eyes, clenched jaw, the kind of face you make when you realize you've been a fool for too long. For years, I'd believed that helping my family proved I belonged. I'd paid bills, co-signed loans, funded every little emergency, because Mom said, "Family sticks together." Now, one text had erased all of that. They weren't just excluding me from a party. They were reminding me of my place the giver, not the guest. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white and whispered to myself, "They have no idea every bill, every contract, every dollar is in my name." That was the moment everything began to unravel. I used to think my mother, Marjorie Dawson, just wanted the best for all of us. That was before I learned she measured love in transactions and affection in interest rates. When I was 16, she called it helping out. I called it survival. It started small, an electric bill here, a grocery tab there. My stepfather, Robert, had lost his job at the time, and Mom said we just needed to pull together. I was working weekends at a diner, saving for community college, but every paycheck somehow disappeared into her hands. "We'll pay you back when things get better," she'd promise. Things never did. By the time my younger sisters, Vanessa and Lily, were in college, Mom's words had sharpened into commands. "Claire, you've got the steady job," she'd remind me, that half smile daring me to say no. So I co-signed Vanessa's student loans, then Lily's. I told myself I was being a good sister, but the truth was, simpler guilt works faster than gratitude. The pattern became familiar. Robert would get laid off for a few months, and suddenly I was covering utilities, Mom's hair appointments, emergency car repairs. She never called it taking. She called it love. And every time I questioned her, she'd tilt her head and say, "Family sticks together." The phrase sounded warm when I was a teenager. By 30, it felt like a shackle. Still, I clung to it, maybe because it was the only way I knew to belong. My mother never said she was proud of me, but she always said she needed me. I didn't realize those words meant the same thing in her language. Vanessa, the middle child, learned faster than I did. She smiled, charmed, and let me pay. When she couldn't afford a semester abroad, she called me crying. "I'll pay you back," she'd said between sniffles. She never did. Mom called it sisterly love. I called it theft with lipstick. Looking back now, I can see it all so clearly, the guilt trips disguised as family dinners, the way I'd sit quietly while they toasted togetherness, and I picked up the check. I mistook dependence for closeness, obligation for care. There's a photo on Mom's mantle from years ago, all of us smiling after Christmas dinner. I remember that night vividly. I'd bought every gift under the tree. The laughter wasn't joy, it was relief because I'd paid for peace again. Maybe that's when I learned the most dangerous lesson of all in my family. Love always came with a bill attached, and for years I kept paying, hoping one day it might finally be enough. Most mornings start the same for me. The alarm buzzes at 5:45, and before I've even brushed my teeth, I'm already doing math in my head bills. Budgets, deadlines, lunches for the kids. Numbers make sense. They obey rules. People don't. By day, I'm Claire Dawson, senior accountant at a pharmaceutical company in Milwaukee. By night, I'm the single mother of two Eli, 11, and Sophie, 8, two bright little souls who remind me what real love looks like. My world revolves around them and a color-coded spreadsheet that keeps our lives from collapsing. It's not glamorous, but it's stable. That used to mean something to me, until I realized stability only matters when no one's taking advantage of it. Still, I tried to stay close to my family, the same way a moth hovers near a flame, even when it's been burned before. Mom, Marjorie, liked to remind me that I was the responsible one, and somehow that phrase always turned into an invoice. When Vanessa, my younger sister, got engaged, Mom didn't even ask this time. She just assumed, Claire, sweetheart, help your sister plan the wedding. You're so organized. She's got enough on her plate. I said yes because I always did. It felt easier than explaining no. Before I knew it, I was knee-deep in vendors, deposits, and color palettes I couldn't afford. Vanessa wanted a lakefront venue with glass walls and chandeliers. I told her it was expensive. She laughed. You're the numbers girl. Claire, you'll figure it out. And I did. I figured out how to move money around, how to skip one car payment to make another, how to smile through exhaustion. Every week there was a new expense: flowers, fittings, catering trials, and every time I paid, Mom said, that's what family does. Sometimes, I'd catch my reflection in the office window late at night, staring at my own tired face. I looked like someone who'd forgotten where she ended and everyone else began. I told myself it was worth it, that all the sacrifices would mean something someday. But deep down, I knew the truth. I wasn't building a family anymore. I was financing one. And love, real love, wasn't supposed to come with a balance sheet. By early spring, the wedding had become my second full-time job. Every evening after work, I'd sit at my kitchen table, laptop open, coffee going cold, juggling invoices for a celebration that wasn't mine. Vanessa Dawson, my younger sister and the bride-to-be, sent me Pinterest links like she was ordering off a menu. Every detail sparkled with perfection: white roses, glass chandeliers, a lakeside backdrop that reflected the sunset like it was built for her alone. She wanted something timeless and elegant, which in family language meant expensive and non-refundable. When I gently mentioned the budget, she laughed it off. Claire, you're the accountant. You'll make it work. You always do. Mom, Marjorie, backed her up instantly. It's your sister's big day, sweetheart. Don't ruin the moment with numbers. Numbers my whole life reduced to them. Numbers that never seemed to add up in my favor. Still, I did what they expected. I wired the deposits: $3,000 for the venue, $1, $200 for catering consultations, $600 for floral samples that never got used. Each transaction had my name on it. Each receipt a silent record of my willingness to be needed. Every time I sent proof of payment, they sent back a heart emoji or a "you're the best" text. It felt less like gratitude and more like confirmation that I still knew my place. Sometimes I'd look at the venue photos: arched ceilings, polished floors, strings of lights that shimmered across the lake, and imagine walking through it myself, not as a guest, but as someone who mattered. Then reality would pull me back. I wasn't part of the picture. I was the one framing it for them. One Saturday, Vanessa canceled our planning meeting because she was too stressed. I went alone, touring the venue, taking notes, snapping photos. The coordinator asked, "Are you the bride?" I almost said yes. Then I laughed and said, "No." just the one paying for it. That night, after tucking my kids into bed, I stared at the growing pile of receipts on my kitchen counter. Over $4,000 gone, and not a single thank you that felt real. I told myself it was fine. That family came first. But deep down, something had shifted. The laughter in our group chat felt sharper now, the kind that cuts instead of comforts. When Mom texted, "Family sticks together," I didn't reply. Because for the first time, I was starting to wonder if sticking together meant I was the only one holding everything up. 2 weeks before the wedding, Mom Marjorie Dawson invited everyone to Sunday brunch at her favorite restaurant downtown. Everyone except me. I only found out because Lily, my youngest sister, posted a photo of the table mimosas, laughter, Vanessa in white, Mom beaming beside her. The caption read, "Final countdown with my girls." I stared at the screen longer than I should have, convincing myself it was a mistake. Maybe my invite got lost. Maybe Mom assumed I was busy. That hope lasted until Monday morning when I stopped by her house to drop off the latest invoices. She opened the door halfway, still wearing that pearl smile she saved for the world. "Oh, Claire, you didn't have to come by. We're handling everything." I handed her the envelope. "The final catering bill," I said. "They'll need the payment by Friday." Her expression flickered. "Honey, don't make this stressful. Vanessa's been so anxious." "I'm not making it stressful. Mom, I'm just..." She sighed, the way she used to when I was 12 and asked for things she didn't want to give. "Claire, please, don't make a scene." The words hit harder than they should have. Vanessa appeared behind her, still in her silk robe, holding a glass of orange juice. "Everything okay?" Mom smiled at her, then turned back to me. "Everything's fine. Your sister just worries too much." Vanessa gave me a polite wave. "Hey, thanks again for helping. Claire, you're a lifesaver." She said it the way people talk to store clerks. I forced a smile, nodded, and walked back to my car. My hands were shaking by the time I turned the key. On the passenger seat, the unpaid invoices stared up at me. That evening, I got the text, "Don't come to the wedding. You and your kids just make things awkward," and right under it Vanessa's laughing emoji. I reread it until the words blurred. This wasn't just exclusion, it was humiliation, the final proof that I'd never been part of their celebration, only their convenience. As I sat in the dark, I whispered to myself, they didn't just uninvite me, they reminded me of my place. And somewhere deep inside, something began to break. That night, after the text, I didn't cry right away. I just sat there staring at the glow of my phone, waiting for someone to say it was a joke. No one did. The group chat kept buzzing, laughing emojis, wedding memes, Vanessa's selfies in her bridal robe. My silence didn't matter. It never had. When I finally turned off my phone, the apartment felt too quiet. My kids, Eli and Sophie, were asleep down the hall. Their soft breathing was the only sound grounding me to reality. I walked into the kitchen, poured a glass of water, and sat at the table surrounded by invoices, receipts, and the remnants of every favor I'd ever done. I tried to swallow the hurt the way I always did, but it stayed there, sharp and heavy. Part of me wanted to call Mom and beg her to take it back. Another part wanted to delete every message and pretend they didn't exist. Between the two, I just sat frozen daughter, sister, provider, none of those roles feeling like mine anymore. A small voice pulled me out of it. Mom, Sophie, stood by the doorway, rubbing her eyes. "Why doesn't Grandma want us at the wedding?" Her words cracked something open inside me. I forced a smile, kneeling beside her. "Grown-ups make mistakes. Baby, it's not your fault." She nodded and went back to bed, trusting me the way I had trusted them. That trust burned now. When the house was quiet again, I whispered into the emptiness, "If I walk away, I'll lose them." Then I said it again, softer, "But if I stay, I'll lose myself." I looked at the spreadsheet open on my laptop deposits. Balances, reminders numbers that had once given me control now looked like proof of everything I'd surrendered. In our family, guilt was a currency, and I had been the richest one. I'd spent years buying peace, buying approval, buying belonging, but nothing I paid ever lasted. For the first time, I began to wonder what would happen if I stopped paying altogether. What if I just let it all fall? The thought didn't scare me. It felt like breathing after years of holding my breath. 2 days passed before I could even look at my phone again. The messages kept piling up: Mom sending photos of dresses, Vanessa posting countdown stories like nothing had happened. It was surreal watching them celebrate while pretending I didn't exist. I told myself I didn't care, but the ache in my chest said otherwise. On Tuesday night, after the kids went to bed, I opened my laptop to clear some work emails. That's when I saw the subject line from the venue coordinator: final confirmation needed for Dawson wedding. My name glowed beneath it. Primary contact Claire Dawson. I stared at it for a long time. That title, so ordinary, so administrative, suddenly felt powerful. Every payment, every signature, every agreement tied back to me. Not them. Me. I clicked open the file. The total balance sat there like a quiet secret waiting to be used. At the bottom was a note: any changes or cancellations must be made by the primary contact on record. The room went still. The refrigerator hummed. Outside, the city lights flickered through the blinds. I remembered all the times Mom said, "Family sticks together." I remembered the brunch I wasn't invited to, the text, the laughter, the years of being everyone's safety net. And for the first time, the math was simple. I didn't owe them anything. They owed me everything. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I typed a new email to the coordinator. Quick question: can the booking be canceled if needed? I hesitated before hitting send. Half expecting guilt to stop me, it didn't. The next morning, the reply came: yes. As the primary contact, you have full authority to cancel or modify the event. I read it twice, feeling my pulse steady for the first time in days. For once, I wasn't their backup plan or their fixer. I was the name on the line, the one thing they couldn't control. And deep down, I knew exactly what that meant. I didn't act right away. Power feels strange when you've lived most of your life without it. I wanted to be sure, to let the silence stretch long enough for them to show who they really were without me. 2 more days passed. The group chat still buzzed memes, inside jokes, pictures of champagne tastings. Mom, Marjorie Dawson, posted a selfie with Vanessa at the venue, captioned, "Couldn't be prouder of my girls." No tag for me. Not even a mention. I watched from the sidelines like a ghost haunting the life I'd built for them. It was almost poetic. Really, the woman they erased from their celebration was the only one who made it possible. By Wednesday morning, Vanessa posted a countdown on her Instagram story: 12 days until forever. My stomach twisted. I thought of every late night I'd spent filling spreadsheets, every payment I'd made, every time I'd convinced myself that being needed was the same as being loved, and then I opened my laptop. The venue coordinator, Melissa, picked up on the second ring. "Hi, Claire. So good to hear from you. Are we confirming the final payment today?" Her voice was cheerful, practiced. I took a deep breath. "Actually," I said, keeping my tone even, "I need to cancel the event." There was a pause on the line, small, respectful, almost understanding. "Of course," Melissa said. "Since the contract's under your name, we can process that immediately. I'll email confirmation within the hour." Just like that. Months of planning, thousands of dollars, and every illusion they'd built vanished with a single click. I sat there in the quiet hum of my apartment, staring at the muted group chat still flashing on my phone. They were joking about bridal shoes, completely unaware that the ground beneath them was already gone. For the first time in years, I didn't feel guilty. I didn't even feel angry. What I felt was stillness, the kind that comes after a storm has stripped everything bare. I poured myself a glass of water, watched the light refract through it, and whispered, "You wanted a wedding without me. Now you have one." That afternoon, I made a second call to Carla and Denise, my oldest friends from college. They'd eloped during the pandemic and never got to celebrate properly. When I told them the date and venue were suddenly free, they thought I was joking. "You're serious?" Carla asked. "Dead serious," I said. "It's yours if you want it. My treat." There was a beat of silence, then tears through the phone. They didn't know it, but they were saving me too, turning something rotten into something clean. By evening, the group chat went quiet. I knew why. The payment must have bounced. The venue had likely sent the cancellation notice. I leaned back, letting the quiet fill the room, and thought, they called me dramatic for walking away. A faint smile touched my lips. They haven't seen drama yet. Outside, the rain began to fall a steady rhythm against the glass, like applause from the universe itself. The fallout started sooner than I expected. By Thursday morning, my phone vibrated nonstop calls, texts, voicemails piling up faster than I could ignore them. Mom, Marjorie, called first, then Vanessa, then Lily. Their messages all sounded the same, panic disguised as outrage. "Why did the venue say the booking's gone, Claire? Call me back right now. What did you do?" I didn't answer any of them. For once, they could sit in the silence they'd built around me all these years. I muted the group chat and let my apartment fill with the only sound that mattered, the steady hum of peace. By noon, Robert, my stepfather, called. His voice was quiet but steady. "They're losing it," he said. "Vanessa's crying. Your mom's yelling. Lily's blaming everyone." I told them this would happen. I almost felt bad for him almost. "Thank you for seeing it," I said softly. That evening, my home phone rang. No one calls that number except telemarketers and my mother when she wants something. I almost didn't pick up. Almost. Claire Marjorie's voice sliced through the receiver, high and trembling. "How could you do this to your sister?" "You sabotaged her wedding," I let her rant. Years of guilt and manipulation poured through the line. When she finally stopped to breathe, I asked one question: was I even invited? Mom, silence. Then a fumbling excuse. "You took that message the wrong way." "We were joking. You know how Vanessa gets—" I almost laughed. "You all thought it was funny enough to post memes." Her tone wavered between fury and guilt. "Don't make this worse. Claire, just fix it." I didn't shout. I didn't defend myself. I simply hung up. The click sounded final, cleaner than any goodbye we'd ever said. The next morning, Robert met me for coffee downtown. He looked tired, the kind of tired that lives in your eyes. "Your mom's been impossible," he said. "Vanessa's calling every venue within 50 miles. Everything's booked solid." "What about the catering refunds are gone?" I said, stirring my coffee, non-transferable. For the first time in months, I saw the corners of his mouth twitch into something close to a smile. "You know," he said, "I told your mom if she doesn't apologize to you, I'm not paying a dime." "What did she say?" "She said I'm being manipulated by you." I laughed softly. "Maybe you're just finally paying attention." By Sunday, the silence from their end turned eerie. No calls, no updates, no posts from Vanessa. I thought maybe they'd accepted defeat until Robert texted me they found a new venue. Wednesday evening, cheap banquet hall outside town. I didn't reply, but I could picture it perfectly: the fluorescent lights, the folding chairs, the buffet trays steaming under tin foil. The opposite of everything Vanessa had bragged about. On the day of the wedding, it rained. Not a gentle drizzle, an unforgiving downpour that turned the parking lot into a puddle. I wasn't there, but I didn't have to be. People sent me photos. A cousin messaged what happened. "It looks sad." Later that night, Robert called again. His voice carried both disbelief and amusement. "You won't believe this," he said. "During the bouquet toss, One of Vanessa's old friends caught it and shouted that the groom's still been texting her. Whole place went silent. I covered my mouth, not to hide shock, but to stifle the smile I didn't want him to hear. Your mom blamed me, Robert continued. Said I invited the wrong people. I told her she pushed away the only person who ever kept this family together. He exhaled, long and heavy. I think she finally understood it. Maybe not the words, but the silence after. When the call ended, I sat in my living room, listening to the quiet hum of the refrigerator, the soft breathing of my kids down the hall. I expected to feel vindicated, triumphant, even. But instead, I felt something cleaner, softer, like a storm finally passing. For the first time in my life, I didn't owe anyone an apology. And that peace was louder than their chaos ever was. A few days after the storm, the final message came. Mom Marjorie Dawson texted me. You've made your point, but this is still your family. I read it once, twice, then typed back I didn't cut anyone off. Mom, I just stopped funding my own mistreatment. She never replied. That night, I sat on the balcony with a cup of tea, watching the rain-soaked city glow beneath the streetlights. Inside, Eli and Sophie were laughing, building a blanket fort in the living room. Their giggles floated through the open door like a song I hadn't heard in years, something pure, untouched by guilt. For so long, I believed love meant staying no matter how much it hurt. That loyalty meant carrying everyone else's weight, even when it broke me. But now I know better. Love without respect isn't love. It's control dressed as care. I took a deep breath, feeling the air fill my lungs like freedom. Walking away wasn't revenge. I whispered. It was survival. And for the first time in my life, peace didn't feel like silence. It felt like home.